Okay, open houses. Part of your marketing strategy and your marketing plan is to show the property through an open house. If you can't show your sellers the benefit of having an open house, don't fight them on it, they'll hate you, and just don't do one. But make sure your scripts are at a point where you can show them the benefit of the actual open house. And yes, part of why we hold open houses is to look for other buyers who may want to buy other properties. Absolutely, acknowledge that. But the reason we keep doing open houses is because I might meet somebody else at a different open house that's going to like your house better than that house. So we're always doing open houses, we're always looking for new buyers so that we can sell more houses to more people. Don't present an open house. The only reason you're doing an open house is to sell the house. Because if they have heard something somewhere else and you tell them that that's it, they won't believe you, and it's going to take away the goodwill. Open houses benefit the seller by attracting buyers to their home. The more visits a house gets, the faster it will sell. Also, if you have an offer hold-off date and people see that it's busy, they are more likely to get excited about the house because other people do. That's why I can never understand the agents that say, I don't want double bookings, I don't want showings at the same time. Why? Why? Bring buyers through. It's the listing agents that say we don't want double bookings. Have 3 sets of people in the house at the same time. It just makes the house look more attractive. The other buyers see that there's other buyers interested. I could never understand that. We never do that.
I think the reason though is that sometimes when an agent's in the house, they won't allow you in the house with your clients.
It's a different story.
And it could be minus 30 degrees out and you're standing at the door thinking, are you joking?
That's a different story, and then you can take it up with the agent in the house. But I'm talking about listing agents. There are some very specific realtors, especially in the West End, no double bookings, and it's a 649 property, and there's like 30 showings on the first day. Oh, no double bookings? Oh no, you can't go at that time. Oh no, there's already an appointment at that time. Seriously? Like, what good is that to the seller? I don't understand what the no double bookings benefit is. I don't know what they think the benefit is, but it's not there, so don't do it.
What about agent open houses? They don't want people into agents open houses, like the public into agents.
I don't understand that either.
Or showings.
I absolutely do not understand that.
Yeah.
Get the house out to as many people as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Why do you care who walks through the front door?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Conrad?
I often get only half an hour appointments only. So
That I find.
Well, half an hour appointment.
In some cases, because sellers will get out of the house for the whole appointment, it's kind of like a way for them to get out of the house for less time.
But agents also slack off if they have an hour, like they'll take the hour.
They'll take the hour. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes you have 6 or 7 properties to show. You can't
Yeah.
narrow it
And
down.
everything goes according to like
Yeah.
mind
Yeah,
share.
exactly. So open houses benefit you as a key lead generation strategy because they offer relatively safe and non-aggressive sales environment. The non-aggressive is, well, you've got to make sure you're not aggressive, otherwise it's not non-aggressive. When you meet people, they're coming to you. You have the opportunity to, if they don't want to buy this house, offer to help them find something else.
Are you going to get to open house where you have your iPad with you and you have people sign in that way when they're talking yesterday on the video?
Not here, but I can actually, you know what? Let's watch the video. Face-to-face prospecting, face-to-face is always better than on the phone, no matter what. And the open house event provides an opportunity for you to build relationships, market your name to a geographic area, whether it's a farm or other, and secure the neighborhood's mind share. I think I've mentioned it a few times. In our farm, in Burnhamthorpe Gardens, we have a ton of mind share, and our market share is building. I haven't, obviously this year it's just started, but we're sort of at the 9 to 10% market share in our farm. I'd love to get to 20, because right now we have, I don't know, probably 50 or 60% mind share, if not more. So make sure if you're starting a farm, you know the difference. Do you guys know what I mean? Mind share is when you take up a specific percentage of somebody's brain and they think you do a specific amount of work in a neighborhood. Whereas
So perception versus reality.
exactly. So market share is the reality. And perception is, wow, you're everywhere. right? When in reality, we're not everywhere. It's only 10%, but they think we are. So, I mean, that's important too. For us in our farm, it's important. For you, if you're starting to think about doing a geographic farm, don't assume that an agent owns it unless you run the numbers, and that's really the
How
case.
do you determine these numbers?
I'm sorry?
How do you determine these numbers?
You look at the geographic area that you're wanting to market to. You look at all the sales in the last year, and you see how many of them are more than one person.
Well, what about the mind share? How do you?
Mind share marketing, flyers, door knocking for me.
But you said it's 50 to 60%. How do you?
Because I'm guesstimating because
okay.
because people think we own the neighborhood. We don't.
That's when you go to doors and then they say, oh yeah.
Yeah, see, you're selling everything in this area, right? We're not. We're not, but they think that we do. So I don't know, I made up that 50 to 60%. It just, when I talk to people, whether it's at an open house or door knocking, they think that we sell everything in the neighborhood. Some of them will be realistic. They'll say, well, we see that you're doing a lot in the neighborhood. But some of them do. They're like, wow, you're selling everything. Which is great. That's what I want them to think, regardless of what the reality is. Does somebody else have something to say? No? Okay, all right, let's look at open houses. And Chris is a master.
Hi, I'm Chris Suarez, and I'm here to tell you the 5 steps to holding an effective open house. Step 1, strategically select the home you want to hold open. Choose a home that gives you the greatest potential to have buyers and sellers find you. This might be a home that is in a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by in walkable neighborhoods in your community. Select a home around a local event where neighbors or even out-of-town people might be stopping in. Step 2 of holding an effective open house is advertising and marketing. Marketing begins a week in advance of any open house you might hold open. Begin by posting internet ads a week before. Get a sign in the yard and let neighbors and passerbys know that the home will be open later in the week. Remember to contact both by phone and email internet leads or phone calls you've received on that listing prior to the open house. Don't forget to make 50 calls around the home prior to the open house and door knock. A radius of about 2 or 3 blocks. Step 3, know your scripts. Know what you're going to say to greet the visitor. Know what questions you're going to ask while they're in the home. One of the greatest first lines you could use is, thanks for stopping in to tour my open house. Are you one of the neighbors, or are you out shopping for a home today?
Ooh,
Immediately you'll
that's a
know
great
if you're
line.
dealing with a potential buyer or a potential seller. Step 4 is keep the right mindset and prepare. Remember, open houses are lead generation activities, so enter with the mindset of a top lead generator. Prepare yourself with comparable properties, market research, at least 2 or 3 other homes that you could potentially show should the opportunity arise. And step 5, always follow up with every lead that comes through that door. Call them, email them, write thank you notes that same day. A simple follow-up script to use directly after an open house. It goes like this. Thanks for stopping into my open house this morning. It was great to meet you. I did a little bit of digging in the office after we met and after the open house and found 3 other properties I think really fit your search criteria. I know the home that we saw this morning wasn't quite perfect, but these 3 have some real potential. We could get into them tomorrow at 4 or at 6, which would work better for you.
This is predicated by the fact that you actually have to talk to people at the open house and ask them questions, okay? Because you gotta do that.
Great, let's meet at my office and we can go from there. My biggest aha when doing open houses is remembering open houses are not a technique to keep current sellers happy. In reality, open houses are great lead generation tools to connect with potential future buyers and sellers. By using effective scripts and systems leading up to the open house and great follow-up techniques after the open house, you'll build a met database of future buyers and sellers. Thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
Okay, so when we're talking about helping your sellers sell their houses, and then say that you're not focusing on that with your sellers, a little bit counterproductive. So think, you know, what we were talking about, certainly think of open houses as a lead generation tool. I would look at the content of that as more dealing with the find your business, section number 3, and look for buyers. That's coming up. So it's not quite in line with everything that we're talking about as helping your sellers. But just a few points to make your open houses certainly more effective. Always door knock. Always door knock, whether it's neighbors or anybody else, because not only will that increase the traffic to your open house, it allows you to meet other potential sellers. Internet and social media. So internet, make sure your open houses are on Manage My Profile in Trub, because that's what gets the time up on Realtor.ca. Is everybody doing that? Yeah, great. Social media, get it on your Facebook. Right? If you don't have a business page, make sure that on your personal page you do something other than 123 Main Street, $7.99, open 2 to 4. Post a little picture of one of the nicer rooms, maybe the deck or something else. I've done. We had 91 South Kingsway. We couldn't give that house away, so I would try to get more people to the open house by putting a deck on my Facebook page. So, hey, I'm going to be sitting on this deck enjoying the weather, Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4, stop by and see me at 91 South Kingsway. The house has a pool. Everybody in the pool! I'm going to be there 2 to 4, Saturday and Sunday, right? So make it something other than address, price, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Nobody pays attention to that. You know, getting back to the short attention span that people have. Conrad, quick.
Question about sort of sign-in sheets.
Yes.
Mandatory?
No.
I've always done them. No?
Not mandatory, but
You want to collect information.
yeah. If you guys have iPads, get the Open Home Pro app. You're much more likely to get accurate information.
Open, what's it?
Open Home Pro.
Open home.
Yeah, it's available.
It's really good.
It's a free app. Don't get the premium version. It doesn't do anything. It works best on iPads. I did set it up on my new Samsung tablet. It doesn't have all the functionality that the iPad does.
I don't remember where I saw this earlier on, since I've joined Keller Williams, but somebody mentioned there was I think it was actually Rick. He mentioned that somebody came up with a checklist, a questionnaire that you would give somebody to open it up. Is that something that people do? Like, and it's supposed to like, how would you rate this house, and then sort of make it playful.
Yeah. Actually, we should ask Patricia about that. I thought that was a really great idea.
I have a copy of this. I can share it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Also gives you an opportunity to open up a discussion. Paul?
I was just gonna say when I like that script a lot for what to say at the open house, but the other question I always ask is just how did you find out about us?
Yeah, so actually, thanks for that reminder. So what I do is hi, welcome to my open house. My name's Irene. What's your name? And how did you hear about the open house? They'll say, well, you know, my realtor sent it to me. Great. Let me just jot down your name and your realtor's name. And that way, even if they haven't been honest with you initially, you know that if the open house is busy, you can concentrate on other people. Sometimes they will type in a realtor's name. So what I do is I say here, please sign in, whether it's paper or Open Home Pro. If you have a realtor you're working with, please jot their name down for me. And some of them will say, okay, great, and they enter their name. And some of them will say, oh, I don't have one. Is that okay? Right? Yeah, perfect. Just skip that question. So if you have 3 or 4 sets of people in the house, you know who to concentrate on. That one that said they don't have an agent.
How do you deal with people who don't want to sign anything, don't want to give any information?
It's a public open house, but it's a private residence, and we have to keep track of everybody that comes to the house.
And so will he ever, like, actually, somebody says, I don't care, I don't want to fill out anything, so you just...
No, sorry, you can't go through the house and they'll leave.
Really?
Yep. One more?
I'll always use, as my first liner is, did you see the sign on the lawn? Sorry, did you see the signs outside or an ad in the paper? Even if I don't have an ad in the paper, and then they'll tell you, no, my agent sent me you.
Yeah.
What, and then you'll know up front as well.
Yeah.
Does Open Home Pro have the ability to make certain questions mandatory? No, I know. I've customized my questions.
The only one that's mandatory is email. It won't let you pass that screen without an email address. Everything else is.
But phone number you can make mandatory.
No. No, and you know the other things like they might say, oh, some of them will just fill everything out and everything.
Sometimes, but after an open house, I don't see it necessarily because I don't watch the screen when they put it in. So then I get my report and I'm going like.
Yeah. So again, try and get them before they leave. So was the house anything like what you were looking for? And they'll say, oh yeah, it's not. Well, can I help you find something else? whatever. So you try and get that information, like try to get that dialogue going before they leave. And, so just, let me just jot down your phone number just to be safe, just so I've got it here. Yeah, it's that communication. Okay, speaking of communication, communicating with the sellers. So part of this session is actually practicing your listing presentation. Did you guys know that? Yeah. So we have to do that, and it's supposed to be a 30-minute exercise. So we're not going to have that ability because we're already at almost 30 minutes. So when you guys were working on session 4, winning the seller, did you work out any sort of listing presentation scripts? Okay, and do you have them with you?
No, I have one.
Yeah.
Good
Anybody
girl.
else? Okay, so
Go you.
I'm gonna make that homework for as part of your mission. Okay. Okay, communication. It's critical because you don't want to be like that agent that never gets back to their client, right? Under promise, over deliver. Make sure that you show them what your marketing plan will be, and then add to it. Do things that are special. Do them faster. Tell somebody that you're going to get in touch with them in a couple of days. Call them the next day. So make sure that you don't over-promise and under-deliver, because that's the complete opposite. So whatever it is that you're going to be doing, make sure that you either amp it up or do it faster. And that's going to give them a better experience, even if it's little things. One of the things that, I couldn't remember exactly what this was, but if your stager is going to be getting in touch with the clients directly, say, you know what, they're going to get in touch with you before the end of the week, it's Monday, have them call Tuesday or Wednesday. They already have that perception like, oh, it was going to be at the end of the week, and now I got that call sooner. Make sure when you tell them you're going to keep them in the loop of what happens with their listing, that you keep to it. So I'm going to call you every Tuesday afternoon, at the very least, at least once a week, Tuesday afternoon between 3 and 4. Stick to it. Unless, you want to be communicating with them more often than that anyway. And, keep in mind too that even though this content has been Canadianized for us, sometimes our market speed doesn't allow you the option of obtaining, or actually doesn't require you to have that ongoing communication. But you have to be prepared for it, and in your listing presentation, you need to make sure that they know that maybe the house won't sell in a week, right? Set that up front, because if that's their expectation and it doesn't happen, you're the problem. You're the reason the house didn't sell, right? It's not the market, you're just their point of contact. So when everything works well, you're a hero, and if it doesn't, it's your fault. So make sure that if things aren't coming together, you've kept your client in the loop. No such thing as over-communicating when it provides outstanding service to your clients. We'll often have sort of a joke after the house sells. I called one of our sellers yesterday, and I said, it feels weird not talking to you twice a day. Just have to call you to, hear your voice.
Withdrawal.
Yes, absolutely. So communication checklist, page 22. So before you go into the relationship with somebody, and because it becomes a partnership, right? When you take their listing, they're your partners. Figure out how they want to be communicated to. Don't assume it's always email. Sometimes they might want a phone call. Don't assume it's a phone call if all they want is an email or a text. So find that out ahead of time. So I'm going to be staying in touch with you throughout the listing process. Do you want me to call you, text you, or email you? What's best? And just adapt to that. And make sure if you have somebody older that doesn't want to communicate via technology, that you see them in person. Like you said, Nat, like some of them, they really need that face-to-face. We have a client now, he has email, he has a cell phone, but ultimately, like, he's 62, and he's not even that old, but he likes the face-to-face, and I know that I'm better with it, right? So figure that out. Don't just stick your clients into your cookie cutter. Always update, even if there's nothing happening. It's even more important when there's nothing happening, because you don't want them sitting there with nothing happening. You want to call them and say, you know what, I know we haven't had any showings for about 3 days. just to let you know, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on, and I'll keep you posted of anything else. And then, of course, this is unless you need a price reduction. So that if you go to ask for a price reduction, you have that history of, you know what, we talked on Tuesday, at that point we didn't have any showings over the weekend, we had one more and then nothing for another week. This is really an indication for us that we need to discuss a price adjustment.
How long would you wait to have that conversation?
It depends on the market, the house, the price point, and what you talked about initially. There's too many moving variables for me to have a definitive answer to that. It depends if they're at your price or their price.
Right.
If it's not selling at your price, you didn't do a very good CMA. But, and you know, the other thing is, like, our market is volatile, it's fickle, it's unpredictable. Like, you just can't, the more you prep your clients ahead of time, the easier your discussions will be, right? Never talk down. I think that's common sense, but since it's here, it probably needed to be here. And keep a log. You will never remember everything, whether you're making notes on an index card or in your top producer or your e-edge, whatever. Keep a log of what you talked about, because your recollection of the events with notes is going to be a lot better than theirs. When they say, oh, we didn't say that. Well, actually, yeah, we said that on Friday, February 5th at 11:30 when we were talking. Right? Keep those notes. Decision maker focus, make sure that you do have the communication with either the decision maker or everybody in the family, as opposed to the person that's not making the decisions. That's important. And always be enthusiastic and positive, even when the situation isn't. Right? Okay. Anybody? Anything? We're good? Okay. Customer experience. What is great customer experience, in your opinion, when it comes to your sellers?
Sold price for over 100,000.
Okay, this is before the sale.
Before the sale.
Paul?
Just being a professional and keeping them organized and on track and sort of directing the show, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just keeping in touch with them and letting them know what's happening, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. We actually have that in our pre-consultation package too. We will always let you know what's happening, whether it's good news, bad news, or no news at all. Good news and bad news everybody wants to hear. It's the no news at all. You don't want them to be calling you to find out what's going on, because by the time they call you, they're not happy.
I just found as well, like, just you were sort of touching on it as well as just sort of having, kind of setting the expectation, but using like almost like a little schedule or a calendar to sort of show them the thing. For some reason, that was just like a huge hit.
Great.
The one was basically, but you know, they just kept talking about it. That, you know, it was just so great to know kind of when things were going to happen and have a sequence of events. So I think a lot of people just don't know how to get their head around it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we've had a couple of our recent listings when we've asked why we got the business, is because you had a plan, you had a schedule, you got me on track. Gladys?
I also find that I'm always in constant contact. For example, when I've just listed a house, I'll say, I'm working on the brochure now, I'm working on an ad in the paper. I let them know everything I'm doing about the house. I'm picking up the brochures, I'm going to drop them off at your home. We had a showing
Or
today.
I'm going to be having my other partner drop off the brochures and drop them off to you, right?
But you know what I mean. I mean, I let them know.
No, I know, but you have to start using that language, Gladys.
Oh, I didn't
You
say
know
we.
that. Yeah. And make sure that you set that expectation up front. So you know what? This is my job. My job is to promote, market, and negotiate.
Mhm.
My time is not spent picking up brochures and dropping them off to you. I will have my other team members do that, whoever those other team members are, right? Okay. One of the things here, when I mentioned, you know, you call them before they call you, being contacted when you aren't expecting it, just being asked what's going on with you, it just elevates the level of that customer experience. Even, you know, especially if there's nothing happening. Hey, you know what, just want to check in, make sure everything's okay on your end. And be solutions oriented. Everybody knows when there's a problem, they just want to know what you're going to do about it to fix it. And staging resources. Well, we talked about that. Interesting presentation. One of the other things here on page 25, I quite liked it. Super service. Super. Sincerity, understanding, predictability, exceptionality, and responsiveness.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 25. It's not the problem that's an issue, it's how you deal with it. And sometimes having a really big problem and having you fix it will be better than not having a problem at all. You know, sometimes if everything goes smoothly and swimmingly, people don't really understand the value that you brought to the table. Whereas if something goes wrong, whether it's showing off or whatever, and you fix it for them, you're proactive about fixing it for them, then they just have an elevated level of customer service experience. It will mean more repeat business for you and more referrals. And you're going to get referrals before you get repeat business, right? Because people aren't going to be moving again in a year, but they're going to know others who are. So you want them to remember what a great experience you gave them, so that they want their friends and family to work with them.
I have a question. That just came to me right now. So you're doing a transaction, you have whatever, you're great, you have a seller, you have your seller, everyone's happy, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes the buyer's had a really good experience with you too. So once that's done, it's not a bad thing to go after that buyer, because odds are that real estate agent may not be staying in touch with that buyer.
We're working on our orphan program. When I have the system in place, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Because that's exactly it. So one of the, do you guys know who orphans are?
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
people who buy your listings who then get abandoned by their agent, and you know most of them are. So even sometimes the agent did a good job, but they don't stay in touch with the buyer. It's a great opportunity within reason and making sure you're not stepping on any brokerage's toes to pick up a new potential buyer. So we talked about this in our mastermind yesterday, right, Gladys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you don't risk, any sort of brokerage issues or buyer representation interferences, and you don't want to do it with agents who you know and like, right? Poach clients, but you do want to be there as a resource for the clients that get abandoned by their agents. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're working on that this Q1.
There's more a situation where you would have the listing and then this person would buy it so you know where they live kind of thing, or?
Sure, you know where they live, you know when they bought, you know their names, you sometimes even have other contact information for them.
But I think it would be less easy if you represented the buyer, you bought somebody's listing, and they're moving to somewhere else. It would be a bit more challenging.
We're only, what Nat was referring to was, it's your listing, because we're talking about listings.
Right.
Right, so it's your listing and another agent sells it.
Yeah,
So it's their buyer technically.
exactly.
You pick up that buyer.
Yeah,
We're not talking about when it's your buyer that buys a house.
and it's their seller.
Yeah, no, we're not talking. No, we're
Okay.
talking about when it's your listing and another agent sells it.
I just have a question about expired listings. I have.
Yeah, don't,
What?
don't do anything with expired listings. You're not supposed, I'm kidding, go ahead.
Stay walking. I have friends that had looked at a house. This is in Pickering. They fell in love with the house. It was listed at the time. They didn't really like the listing agent, and it's expired. Now they want to put an offer on this house and they want to use me, but I can't show them. I can't put an offer in because they've already seen it with the other listing because of the holdover clause.
Right,
So
yeah.
I was suggesting because they've been in contact with the seller now. They said they want to put an offer, and I said have the seller call me because I could list it.
As long as you listed for the
The same-
exact same commission that the previous agent did, they have no recourse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She explained that to the seller, so the seller called their lawyer,
Yes.
and the lawyer said, no, you have to pay the commission. He didn't. I guess he didn't understand the holdover clause.
No, the holdover clause, if you were to go in to that, so if you were to call that seller and say, I have a buyer, and because I don't actually have the listing with you, I can list it at 3% instead of 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just use 3. Then that seller
Right.
would be liable for that 2% to his previous brokerage because that brokerage introduced your buyer to
Gotcha.
the property. Take an MLS listing at 5%.
But can I call the seller?
Yeah.
Well, I think at this point, because of the relationship with the buyer and the seller, I don't think you calling them would be an issue. I mean, what you're not supposed to do is harass a seller that had been listed with another brokerage or use the MLS is a way of contacting them and finding them.
So this situation, I can just directly call them and explain.
I would speak to our broker.
I actually spoke to Philip,
Yeah.
and he said that, I tried this, have the seller call me.
I think that would
But
be
I don't know the seller, I'm just a real estate agent to them, they don't even know who I am.
Yeah, I would certainly, especially if your buyers have been in touch with them,
Yeah,
say, you know what, my agent is really by the book and he would much prefer if you called him as opposed to him calling you. Are you okay with that? I don't want to buy this house without my realtor. Make sure that the seller understands that the buyer wants you involved in the transaction.
okay.
So then the seller calls him.
Yeah, and then you're fine.
Okay.
But I
but
still
he-
don't
hold on
know,
a
I
second.
just can't
He
call.
lists the house because it expired, right? And then how is he getting out of giving this other?
Listed at the same commitment as listed out before.
See, the way around it, if you want,
But
you
she
can give.
still has to buy it as immortal.
If you sign another listing agreement with the same terms, there is nothing to hold over. The only thing it applies to is if you take the listing at a discount, the seller is still liable for the difference between the original price and the discount to agreement.
Philip said that the motivation for the seller, you can give them a rebate. So you can actually, you can sort of reduce your commission by giving them a rebate.
On
and then-
closing?
On closing, and then
Yeah, that sounds fair.
you basically, on income, when it comes to income tax, you claim it, then it's an expense, they
Right.
can rebate.
Yeah,
So that's
that
the way you
makes
get around it.
Yeah,
the
that
whole
makes
thing.
sense. That makes
Okay.
sense, but make sure all your paperwork is by the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I know, it's tricky. It's tricky. So, bottom line is the relationship is bigger than one transaction. Make sure you don't forget that, because a lot of agents do. I think the stats were something like 70% of everybody that bought a house said they would use their realtor again, and something like 8% actually do. And the overbearing reason is because the realtor didn't stay in touch. They're like, yeah, I really like that person, and then I just never saw them again after closing. Right, like why go door knocking for an hour to find one person that may want to sell if you have a happy client who would be thrilled to connect you with.
Like in our whole communication thing with the 8 by internet doing through touch, there's no real communication for like format that Keller Williams has for a past client follow-up situation.
Do you mean after the listing is sold or like long-term? Because long-term is your 33 touch and your calls and your emails.
So the 30, because that's what I thought, and then somebody said, no, the 33 touch is for basically incubators. People that are coming out of an 8 by 8 and then get transitioned into a 33 touch. I will do the 33 touch with past clients.
Yeah,
That's, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, except past clients, you're gonna call more often.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and you know, the people who refer you business regularly, you're
Yeah.
gonna call them even more often.
Mhm.
Like our inner circle, my goal is to have them, like, to talk to them once every 2 months. Right, like those are the people that consistently refer on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Okay, so the listing presentation I'm gonna give you as homework, because when I was reading this material, it seemed like there was something missing. Where's the listing presentation?
Yeah.
But the thing to remember here is you really have to practice. So what I want you guys to do, I know you have your 10-4 groups set up, but are you guys in partners at all? Can we get some partnerships happening so you guys can talk over the weekend and do some practice? Can we do that? Can you guys do that before you leave? Actually, can you do that now? Take 2 minutes. Find somebody who you're going to call on the weekend for a 15-minute listing presentation script. Should I just decide?
I want to call everybody because I'm doing a house and a whole bunch of other stuff and have to.
Okay. I got it. Okay, I got 2 here. How about me and Savannah? So tonight,
I have 2 appointments tomorrow.
like honestly, 20 minutes, guys, 10 minutes each just to work on your scripts, okay?
Yeah.
For a listing presentation. Promise?
It'd be better for me too
Sunday, okay.
We will work on our listing presentation. actually help each other try to get some friends. Does that sound good?
Do you want to meet up or just want to call?
Yeah, can you find somebody in the room? And, how about we do that? Yeah, not right now, we're not gonna have time to do the listing presentation, but either Friday or over the weekend, like today or over the weekend, get together on the phone for 20 minutes just to practice your listing presentations. Session 4, yeah. Okay? Okay, guys, we're not done. Wait. Putting it all together. The action plan.
Oh, you want to put it in?
You've got your missions.
I don't know, maybe right on.
Sorry, Irene. All I wanted was like an exchange of phone numbers. Okay, so we're going to talk about putting it all together, your action plan, preparing for next week, and a few things that I do want to get from you guys is we're at the end of the second week now. So between today and the other power sessions that you've had over the last 2 weeks, what are your biggest ahas, learnings, helpfulness?
Follow up.
Follow up? Quantify that for me.
If you talk to somebody and say you're going to call them next week on Wednesday at 2, make sure you do it. And even if you can't get that time with them, you just do it anyway. Just making sure you get in touch.
Sure.
I don't know. Well, yeah,
Anybody else?
do it.
You guys are getting tired. Gladys.
On Monday, Keith was talking about how to be prepared, like going with your stats, and I had a listing that my seller thought they should sell it for more, so I went in actually with stats after a sign back, and I actually showed her that we're actually selling 100,000 over the average townhomes in the area, and she goes, that's great, and she accepted it was 5,000 less than what they wanted, but then she accepted the price.
Right, yeah.
So know your
some
stats,
people
know
respond to
what's
facts,
inside.
don't they? Yeah. Anybody else? Paul?
I was just gonna say, I just think it's very valuable just listening to, like, for example, like you've thrown out like 3 or 4 little small scripts, but just very small little things about how you talk to people, and just some of those different things like that I find very helpful.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Okay, so before your mission, make sure that before the mission for next class, make sure you do that time block with your partner to practice your listing presentation. Don't practice in front of a seller. Practice with another agent or you want to use your spouse. That's always good because they're not in real estate if they're not in real estate. Speak to other reps about staging resources and professionals. Think about some marketing ideas for your future listings and work on whatever social media platform you're using. Make sure it's not overly salesy because people will just gloss over and not listen to you, not pay attention to you. Okay, so next class, Candace. On Monday, Candace Kazoff from the Keller Williams Advantage office. She's on the Mike Clark team. She essentially runs the Mike Clark team now. She has a wealth of knowledge. I know we're going to have some guests in the room because they want to hear what she has to say. So make sure you're here. Make sure you prepare for your mission. So you've got a bunch of videos to watch. So you've got the buyer consultation, preparing for the buyer consultation. So watch the videos. We've got responding to inquiries, talking about being responsive. So make sure you watch that video. There's going to be a buyer consultation video. It's 5 minutes, obviously a very condensed version, but make sure you watch that. Getting buyers to actually come in for an appointment. Getting them to sign the agreement, right? Because we all need to work on that, and closing the buyer. It's the weekend. If you're not fortunate like Katya to have a whole bunch of open houses, get out, do some door knocking. Make sure that you don't slack off on the weekend, because again, how you show up in here is going to translate to how you show up out there. Take some time off. Make sure because we don't have the formal mission session here on Saturday, make sure that you get out and do something. Talk to some people. Keep your daily temp 4 up, because that will help you build the habits when you get out of here. Because it's great that you guys are all here. We're very excited about the energy level. We love that you love learning. You just then have to, after February 22nd, make sure that you keep it up. And don't do it only when you're here, because that's going to be your longevity.
Thank you, Irene.
Thanks, guys.